Hello and welcome to episode 33 of the Hobby Hammercast. I'm joined as ever by the beautiful Miles, whose eyes are blue and his stomach hurts.
Beautiful, yes. Mein fluggeig glass and my pen tostavi. Oh, that's my head hurts. My bowler tostavi. My stomach hurts. Hello, everyone.
And that isn't just the only Welsh you know, but it is the only Welsh he's been saying this morning.
It's a great pickup line for people who... So if you're in America, they're kind of enthralled by the accent anyway. Just roll out that line. Roll your R's and quids in.
Yeah, quality. So today we're going to be going over what miniatures you should grab from, I'm going to say Forge World, the expert kits, before they disappear. Because, and this is, I'm not going to spoil it, Miles, but Miles has got a rumour that is such a rumour it hurts.
Oh my God. Okay, so we're really starting off this episode in a rather incendiary way. Yeah. What top 5 miniatures you buy before they disappear? Yeah. I completely unsubstantiated rumors. I know nothing. I have no inside information. I've just heard things drifting along the wind with no substance to whatsoever. But it did cause a stray, like a train of thought that we'll discuss in the topic. But don't worry, don't panic, don't go out and panic buy. Everything will be fine.
Mass layoffs at Forge World. We don't know that.
Run out and buy a bunch of toilet roll. It's fine. We'll all be fine.
Yes. So yeah, we're going to go over that. But first, Miles, let's do what we've been doing. And you were just talking about your recent experiences in 3D printing. So should we start there? Because that's what made me hit record. Was I thought, like, let's get this on the cast. This is experiences for a lot of people, and if you're not into 3D printing, it's a constant arseache. You were right. You were correct for not being into it. It's a constant arseache. If you are into it, you'll know our pain.
Everyone else is a sucker for doing it. Yeah. So, I mean, 3D printing, my trials and tribulations with 3D printing have been documented, and I have had a very sore learning curve. It's not been an easy process. This week, I've had a rather large bust I wanted to print out. I thought, I'm gonna be clever here. I can see a little sign on here, hollow. Okay, so you can take a sculpt. So you can take, like, instead of printing out all this heavy chunk of resin, you can actually hollow it out. So, this is clever. This is awesome. I'm going to do that. Yeah, I'm an idiot. Don't do that, because when it prints out, it doesn't print hollow unless you punch a hole in it. No. You have the miniature and you slosh it around. Oh, what's that? There's a bunch of resin already in here, and it prints like stick thin. So you have a really flimsy outer edge on what should be quite a substantial miniature. You poke a hole through it, and all this resin flows out. Oh, and then trying to cure it on the inside, trying to clean it on the inside, absolute nightmare. Absolute nightmare.
So that curing on the inside, that's the problem.
Yeah, and we're seeing all this in preparation for printing out quite a larger project. So this is the first time I print out a vehicle of some description. I'm going to keep it under my hat for exactly what. Because I don't want the owner to get a C&D letter from Games Workshop, because I like the sculpt. But yeah, hopefully by Christmas time we can bring you a preview of what we'll be up to.
Yeah. So the hollowing thing is the actual walls you can change to different thicknesses, and I don't know what program you're using to set things up in, but both Lychee and Cheetu Box have things that you can automatically, or not automatically, but you can punch holes digitally in the sculpt, and that will stop the slosh of the resin inside, because you get like a drain hole. What I've found, though, is that curing on the inside, as you were saying, it's so annoying to do. Because I'm not particularly doing 3D printing to save money. I'm more doing it to get things I can't get off Games Workshop or
it's an extra bits box.
Yeah.
You framed it perfectly. It's an extra bits box.
Exactly. Because I'm doing it for that reason. I don't want the chance it'll crack after a year, because that happens because it's not cured on the inside. And I don't want...
Yeah.
Like, and it's something that I think lots of us 3D printing start out by, like, I'm going to hollow everything this Space Marine in 28mm scale. I'm going to
I'm gonna
hollow it.
save money
Yeah, and it's
because
going to cost
resin
me
is
nothing.
expensive.
It's going to cost me
Yeah.
nothing because I've hollowed the 28mm Space Marine. It's just not like I can't remember the last time I 3D printed a model that was hollowed. I know what models I have hollowed because some of them have cracked, but actually doing it, it's for me not worth it.
Yeah, lesson of the day: do not hollow out your miniatures. But in a brighter note, so recently I've done a commission for Anvil Industries, and I got chatting to the owner, and I was like, "Oh, you know what? I really like your heads. Could you send me like a bunch of heads? Because I would love to do a series of tutorials on the regiments of the guard. So I
Yeah.
can do like pick one miniature and just do a whole bunch of them. Awesome. So I'm already got like a Praetorian one in the works." And they sent through a file last week. Like, yeah, here you go. Here's the heads. They've sent through every single head they have ever manufactured. There's like 500 heads in here. It's an overwhelming amount of head I'm getting here, and I'm loving it. So they're on the print bed right now. I've just sliced them. They're going to go in the print now, and then I'm going to produce a whole bunch of new Guard Regiment tutorials.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's so we were talking about this. Topics that you're passionate about but may not do well.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
Guard series, I do not anticipate to do well. You'll have outliers. You'll have people who get really into like the odd regiment here and there, but this is very much more of like a passion project I need to sandwich in between any Space Marines that I paint over the next couple of years. But very excited for this, just to because it's nice whenever I come off a big commission.
Yeah.
I like painting one miniature for myself. It could be a character, it could be just an infantry, it could be anything, just to give me that palette cleanser, just that one miniature, just to get out my system. Okay, I've done that. And this project is shaping up to be that. So hopefully over the next year, I can release a few tutorials over the guards of the regiments. And if you have any ideas for what guard regiments you would like to see, well, you know where to comment down below. And I will try and make them if the stars align.
Not Valhallans, because I painted Valhallans and I don't want to see how it could have been done better now that I finished the army.
And that's the thing, right? So the Cadian Guard, you've seen 1,000,001 different ways to paint the khaki camouflage brown that they have, but I'm a lover of the City Fight camo scheme.
Yeah,
back
like
in
the
like 2003.
122nd that had the...
Yeah, like the white, grey, and like the triangles. So I think I want to do that for the Guard, for the Cadian that I paint.
Nice. Now, and you've got the City Fight Codex to help you with that.
I have.
The reference.
Yes, I have.
That was one of the bad topics.
Yeah, that didn't do too popular. But I had a flashback memory. A friend of mine wanted to collect a Guard army, but he wanted them all with bolters because the guy on the front cover had a bolter just blazing away, and he couldn't do it at the time. Yeah. A simpler time.
Right. So I've got your Praetorian up at the moment as you've been speaking about it, and we can just about see a bit of a sneak peek of another project you've got on the go at the moment.
Oh,
shall we talk about that, or should we talk about something I've been doing to tease everyone just for 5 minutes?
For 5 minutes, yeah. Let's edge people for 5 minutes. What have you been up to, Max?
Well, I've been carrying on with my Legions Imperialis, which I've been painting on tanks a load of hazard stripes, which everyone can see on screen. That's not been using masking tape because it's a Legions Imperialis model, and once you've weathered it, even on 28mm, not on tanks but on infantry models, something this scale, I find you just, after you've weathered it, if you weather it like I'm going to say correctly by specifically choosing where to weather a random shape to de-random it, it'll look fine. But I've also been going absolutely crazy painting hazard stripes on, say,
oh my god,
the banner, the chest piece. The ones that have really driven me insane is down the helmet, like the forehead of the helmet, on little Mark 3s and 4s.
Jeez Louise.
So I've been going cross-eyed doing that.
Yeah, and so with these, when you start a project like this, the first one I do when you paint it by hand is near enough perfect. Like you have the odd shake, but by the end, like, oh, to hell with it. I'm just going to get them on. So I think when you look at these tanks en masse, you'll be able to see the ones you began the process with and the ones you ended the process with. Oh, actually, I have something I want to ask you. So I was on the Age of Darkness podcast this past week, and the topic that came up was how does painting Imperialis differ from larger scale miniatures? Like, so I answered that question in Painting Black and Other Colors. I'm not going to answer it here. Go listen to that podcast when it comes out in like the next month or so. But I want to pose that question to you, Max. Like, what different thoughts or what different energies, what different processes do you bring to Imperialis that you do to like 28 mil?
Right, so this is the third army of this scale that I've painted. I painted an Ultramarines army for Mr. Jack Boland. I painted an epic scale Iron Warriors army that no longer holds up, obviously, because it's now 8mm Legion scale. Halfway through this one, it's, to be honest, I get a bit more process driven in that you've got to metronomically, robotically paint, because if you calculate the amount of infantry that's involved in an army of this scale, each base having 5 dudes or dudettes on, depending on if it's solar, like this in the picture now is like 500 infantry. So are we talking like actual painting skill wise? Like, what do you do? Because I find the biggest hurdle.
Interpret the question however you want.
Right, I find the biggest hurdle is the mental challenge of there being lots of detail on each model and sort of divorcing yourself. I've done the hazard stripes on the helmets because I'd done that on my epic army, and I'd forgotten that at the time I thought it was a mistake on the epic army because I went through the entire, maybe I should have done it on the command squad and no one else, but I went through the entire army doing these random hazard stripes on them all. Shouldn't have, because then when I actually came to pick out who's the guy with the helmet stripe, I went to pick him out of a box and couldn't see which one was that, and he's like, that's completely useless. What I have done is on the tanks, I've got more hazard stripes than normal. Say, on the banners, there'll be brighter colours than normal. So basically, I tend to go more vibrant colours on there. Because in the same way as, like, you've reassured me in 28mm scale that Iron Warriors need something to make them pop, I think that applies to all armies. The brighter schemes do better. And just because they've got lots of those vibrant colours. But because it's such a small scale, I think you need to, if you're on the darker side of armies like Iron Hands, Raven Guard, things like that, I think you definitely need to find those other colours to make them pop out more, differentiate the squads. Like, say, plasma guns, get some OSL on the coils of them to make them pop out. Just to make the army a bit more vibrant, otherwise they blend into the base far, far too much from a distance.
Yeah, especially based on the Span 3. You have Raven Guard on Black Sands.
On the Black Sands, yeah. Yeah, well, and Iron Hands, I suppose.
No, sorry. It's Span 5. It's Span 5. That's the Black Sands. We're going to get some angry messages otherwise.
But, other than that, mental fortitude is the takeaway from Legions Imperialis. Because there's just so many of them all the time, relentlessly.
It's weird you say the brighter schemes work best, because I've been watching quite a lot of like second edition content on YouTube. This guy Minnesodes, and he took the Armageddon campaign in second edition, and he took Tycho's company and reduced it down to epic scale.
Yeah.
So in the Angels of Death Codex, you had Tycho's second company, and he translated that into his epic collection. So I'm a big fan of the like Blood Angel orange red on that scale, but then it's the trap and nostalgia I keep talking about. I keep reoccurring whenever I get like lulled into this fantasy. Oh, I'm going to dive into second edition and paint them all exactly like the second edition. I'm not a big fan of like that big, bright, bombastic color scheme on modern day miniatures now, because I think I'm so used to seeing things in grimdark and slightly translated a little bit more realistically. I think you're right. On that scale, lower down, the brighter schemes work best.
Yeah, on that, I think maybe wait sort of like 15 years and the colour scheme will come back round because it's all cyclical.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, maybe.
Yeah. You're just either so behind or incredibly ahead of your time in wanting to paint that.
So this was brought home to me yesterday on my little display case up in the studio. My wife was showing my child like the miniatures I painted. Okay, so like some of the and she's like, why have you got these up here? Do they mean something to you? Like, oh, I painted those when I was a child. And she pointed to a second edition orc that I painted a couple of years ago. It's like, oh, like that. Oh, no. It's because I was painting them like the guy told me to from 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And I wasn't painting them like who I am now. The nostalgia trap, that might be an episode in all of itself.
Are you sure that's not all of our episodes?
Things were better 10 years ago with the Black Books and the Horus Heresy and better characters. Things were better.
Only 10 years ago. Only 10 years ago.
Only 10 years ago. Things were better back in my day, damn it.
Perfect. That sums us up to a T. Right.
Yeah.
We've teased everyone enough. Let's go on to what you've been doing this week.
Okay. Let's talk about the Night Lord first, shall we? Because it's up on screen right now.
It is.
So this guy, few questions, few raised eyebrows. Like, okay, why is he wearing Black Legion colors? Why is he a Night Lord? Well, what are the Black Legion? They aren't just Sons of Horus or Lunar Wolves in a different color scheme. This is a Legion without a Primarch. This is Legion completely divorced from the ideals of the Great Crusade and the Heresy era. This is a new thing, a new entity that any Legion, any Astartes, anybody can pledge to the Black Crusades. Anybody can pledge themselves to the Black Legion, and that's what this character has done through. I'm not really sure why. We're going to get into that fan theory thing. Like, oh, I'm going to tell you all about my character, all about my lord. And this is
listen to my D&D character.
Yeah, this is where you drift off and grab a smoke and put yourself on mute. Well, he is a Black Legion, but he comes from Night Lord stock. And I found this amazing sculpt by, let me give you a shout out. This is...
so this isn't a Games Workshop model. This is a...
No, this is DMS Miniatures. This is a print, DMS Miniatures.
Right, okay.
And he is one of the few people working in the space that do Chaos Space Marines. There are 1,000,001 different producers for Imperials, for like add-on sets to new Space Marines and Primaris. He is one of the few manufacturers, very high quality producers of Chaos stuff, and I'm so thankful. And this sculpt is completely free. It's completely free to download. I mean, that's part of the reason why I downloaded it. It's free. Give me a little trial of what it is he does. The quality is superb on it. I'm going to spend a fortune in this store because of this miniature.
He's got you. Got the claws into you.
The detail, the posture, the arrogance. So this miniature is supposed to be Talos Valkyrian or Decimus.
Okay.
I'm not going to tell people who Decimus is because one of my students is reading through the Night Lords trilogy. One of the characters has just been killed off, and I don't want to spoil it for him. So yes, this is a character based on that. So I had to scrape off the chest piece, the broken Aquila. I had to replace the Blood Angel sword, replace the helmet. I've upscaled it slightly to suit in with the rest of my Black Legion project. And I wanted to paint a Night Lord for Halloween. So this miniature has like a real arrogance. He has a real status about him, right? And I love the posing of it. And I think with 3D sculpts like this, you can run into the feeling of uncanny valley, where a pure 3D printed miniature
Yeah.
looks purely 3D printed, but if you mix it up with Games Workshop sets, like a different head, shoulder pads, arms, that kind of thing. I mean, like you just said, oh, this isn't a Games Workshop miniature. No, you can fool the eye into thinking it's something more official than it is by splicing the kits together. But this kit, like, unbelievable, like the detail on it. Yeah, complete. And I've just been scrolling through some of his stuff, and I've seen he does Possessed. He does a full Possessed squad.
Well, shall we bring it up? So this is the Possessed, and it's very much more Gal Vorbak style that we're more accustomed to, and it's definitely an aesthetic that I like. I mean, surprising no one, a heresy person prefers a more heresy aesthetic. I mean, it looks really nice.
It doesn't devolve into ludicrousness. When you see like the older Possessed miniatures, I think the new Possessed miniatures they have now are great. I think they're possibly the best Possessed miniatures we've seen outside of the Gal Vorbak. But Possessed always had like big club hands, weird two heads. They look goofy. They look really goofy, but these look threatening. They look engorged. They look phenomenal. I'm just flicking through like the rest of his. He's. I'm going to spend a lot of money on this guy, and I've been chatting to him for the past couple of days. He's very kindly offered to sponsor the Advent calendar that's coming up in December. Very kindly offered. I have like a bunch of different people are contributing to this year. If you want to get involved in the Advent calendar, sign up to the Patreon before December 1st. We have a whole bunch of giveaways, including exclusive STLs, so everybody can enjoy tutorials. We have guest tutorial spots. Our sponsors have been unbelievably generous this year. I'm going to tell people. So Redgrass Games have sent through one of their new lights for us to give away. It's always packed every year, but this year is just packed. I'm finding it hard putting in my own stuff in there, like tutorial stuff and commentary, with the amount of just extras that we've got bringing to you. But anyway, that's my little plug for that. DMS Miniatures, phenomenal manufacturer, and I wanted to paint a Night Lord for October for Halloween. And I wanted to have a go at giving a different impression of Midnight Clad. I mean, we talked about this in our Legion special, how difficult it is to get, because it's an emotive term rather than a color choice, Midnight Clad. I wanted to play with the idea of painting the armor completely black and then adding extra effects like lightning bolts trailing across it, which I managed to do. Looking at it now, it's not successful as a Night Lord. I wouldn't use this scheme as a Night Lord scheme. I'd have to make it more blue-violet over the top. But as a Black Legionnaire, like a relapsed Night Lord in the Black Legion, it works for me. So my experimentation, my thesis of taking just a black armor and adding blue over the top didn't really pan out, which is fine because it's meant to be a Black Legionnaire, which will lead on to many more experimentations to try and get that elusive, perfect Night Lord, Midnight Clad armor.
Did you put the lightning on before painting, or did you put the lightning on after painting? Like, was it something after?
So that was, looking at the process, because by the way, all this will be available on the Patreon at the end of the month. I'm doing a full Halloween spectacular on this guy. I worried if I put it on initially that it would break.
Right.
And it would just send me crazy. So this was very much an experiment. If I could do it, great, but the entire paint job didn't hinge on this very flimsy, bonkers, frankly stupid idea for creating the lightning bolts leaping off the armor rather than it being painted onto the armor.
When you say how flimsy it was?
Yeah, you blow it, it can fall off.
Oh,
That's
really?
how flimsy it is.
Really?
It's this is only for display pieces. Do not do this on infantry. Do not do this on something you'll be handling regularly. I'm very much expecting this will break off a few times. That's why the lightning bolts don't seem as like prominent, like crackling across the armor. If I were to do this experiment again on a like for real Night Lord in mid-light clad, I would probably put the lightning streaks on first, and then build the entire color scheme around that, the lightning scheme around that. But that's for another time.
Yeah. So I imagine you didn't drill into the armor then, since you did it post painting, because you could get say like a 0.2 mil drill bit or something like that, 0.1, depending on how big that lightning is. And I suppose if someone wanted to roll this out to an army, which would be insane.
Don't.
Do it.
Just don't. Oh God, no. And drilling wouldn't really matter because the connection point it would still snap. You'd still warp it. If you picked it up, it would still crush.
Is it that brittle?
Material.
This wire?
Yeah.
No way.
It's stupidly thin. It's stupidly brittle. Don't do this on anything that isn't a display piece. This is a one-off miniature. I'm not going to be doing this like across armies. On the next Night Lord I paint, I might do this because it is purely a display piece. And I do want to play with the idea of doing the lightness. So in the process of painting the armor, again, the lightning bolts on there before I apply like the last layer with the airbrush to see whether I can meld into the armor a little bit more and then paint it on top to make it seem like lightning crackle, which is a lot more sustainable and feasible. Unless it took me about 2 hours to get the lightning into the shape, into the place that you need to be on ambient. You need some kind of like downer to do this because it takes so long to get. You need to be in a very calm, chill place. You can't do this if you've had a couple of coffees and like you're ready to fight.
It's more like lo-fi beats.
Lo-fi beats and an entire evening just dedicated to getting a couple of lightning bolts.
What is the wire called, like that you've used?
You can find that out on the page. Sorry, I don't want to give this away.
Of a bitch.
Yeah, I know. Can we cut that out? I don't want to give that away till because it's like the marbling technique, right? As soon as it's out there, you're going to get 1,000,001 different. Oh, this is what I fucking discovered. Like, yeah, okay, you've discovered it. Great. Yeah.
Fair. Right. Well, let's get on to
Night Lords.
The main thing of the episode.
More Night Lords. Night Lords all the time. It's October.
Go on then. Preview it, Miles.
Night Lords all day, every day. At the end of the month, because it is Spooktober, because it is Cursetober, we'll be doing a Night Lord special. We'll be doing a Hobby Hammer dedicated wall-to-wall Night Lords, from painting to model legacy to the old miniatures to the new miniatures, their entire range, our own personal impressions of them. This is going to be a spooktacular Night Lord thing we'll be doing at the end of the month. So if you have any Night Lords, if you're painting any Night Lords, make sure you hashtag everything with Hobby Hammer on social media. We will include it in the show. Or if we get a deluge of them, if there are hundreds of images, we'll pick out the best from them and we'll preview them. But yes, anything Night Lords, anything on all Night Lords spectacular come the end of the month.
Well, I think the key thing there that we'll have to say is if there is something that you specifically want including on the Night Lord, like lore-wise, a specific campaign that they've taken part in, a character that you want us to like delve into a little, because we are doing like more broad strokes than like a specific character section.
Oh, yeah.
But like leave it in the comments so that me and Miles know to include that.
Yes.
Because I think that will definitely be helpful for us organising. Because we can do Night Lords. We've both read a lot of Night Lords.
Yeah.
But there will always be one more that a viewer may want us to cover.
Yes, there'll always be some expert out there. There'll always be one obscure Night Lord character we just have not heard
And we
of.
want to cover that character. That would be good.
So what the first Night Lord novel, Lord of the Night, I think it's Simon Spurrier wrote that. I haven't read it, and it details like the first captain of the Night Lords after Sevatar. I haven't read that, so I have no knowledge of that book whatsoever. That's a complete blank in my lore knowledge. So if you want us to talk about that, mention it, and we'll go out of our way to try and read it by the time the Night Lord special comes on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right. So at the very start of the episode, we said, what would we get before it went out of stock? And we've got to leave off Dreadnought stuff because they're already gone, Miles. They're already gone. Can't get the Legion Dreadnoughts anymore. We can just get their bodies. Which is a shame. But I think this is sort of a good thing, potentially. Of what do we want to get? What would we want to get before?
So why are we talking about this subject? I've heard rumors on the wind, completely unsubstantial. But the evidence of our own eyes, we can see that Forge World are having stock issues. We can see that a lot of the range has not been out of stock just for a couple of months. It's years at this point where they just haven't had any stock. They can't fill it. The overall trend in the heresy is moving towards plastic. So it doesn't take a genius to follow that line of logic and think, okay, maybe Forge World resin is going the way of the dodo. The UK government have brought in extra tariffs on hazardous materials like resin, as opposed and plastic as well, I think. So it is more expensive to produce resin miniatures. All these costs are climbing up. Okay, so following that line of logic, you're a kid again in the 90s. You're in a Games Workshop store, you're looking around you, and you can see army boxes, a Blood Angel army box, High Elf army box, all second, third edition stuff. You can see all like the most expensive, highly sought after collectibles today. You're there, you're in the store, you can see all these blister packs, but you have the disposable income of a 35-year-old man with no family, no attachment, still lives with his parents, right? You can go mental in this shop. Put yourself in that position of power, of influence, of money. But right now, Forge World is going to tank in the next 5 years. What do you buy? What do you buy in this fire sale? What do you panic purchase with this power? So we've dreamed up this idea. Okay, what are the top 5 things that you are in theory able to buy now? What would you buy now to secure it against the future? So what are we going to buy?
Well, I think we've got to at the start give. How are we going to do this, Miles? Are we going to
pure impulse buy? What I want is what I buy.
Oh, right.
How about that?
Yeah, so a lot of the stuff that's still on there from like the Forge World times, from the before times, is going to be heresy. So that's going to be a large part. Now, we've already missed out on, say, like the old fantasy Ironsides and things like that.
Yeah, we can't get things like it's things that are okay. For example, my first pick. It's going to be a character series miniature. Those black boxes, I think, are going to become iconic. You're going to look back at that time, like, look how well presented these miniatures were, like all in resin, like really sharply detailed. My first pick is Sevatar. Again, going along with the Night Lord's theme, Sevatar is an achingly gorgeous miniature. It's a miniature that encapsulates the horror of Night Lords without being goofy. We talk about this, like how Chaos Marines in particular do have the tendency to slide into the goofiness scale, into the goofiness factor, and Night Lords especially, with those big bat wings and over ostentation and like flayed faces everywhere. They can look a little bit goofy, but Sevatar looks threatening. He looks haunting. He looks sharp and vicious. It's every kind of stylistic choice that you would want from the 7th. Did I get that Legion right? No, 8th.
It's the 8th.
Oh my God. 8th. Oh God, got that wrong already. Yeah, it's everything you want from the 8th. But unfortunately, he's temporarily out of stock. So theoretically, you can still buy him because he's not completely gone from the website, but is temporarily out of stock. So we're looking at objects, we're looking at miniatures that you can theoretically buy. They're just temporarily out of stock. So my first pick, to secure against the future, my time capsule of Heresy and Forge World will be Sevatar.
Do you know what? I'm going to go for one that might surprise a lot of people.
Right.
I'm going to go for Alexis Pollux.
Oh, you son of a... I was going to pick him as well.
Right.
The man that launched 1,000 Praetor conversions.
Exactly. For exactly that reason. Because that stepping down or up the steps that he's got is such a unique pose. Do you know, like, just the flow of that model is just so unique that it can be used in a million different ways. Pollux, I hate the character. I hate the character. But that model is excellent and I think needs putting in the Heresy time capsule to be preserved for all time. So yeah, that is my first pick.
And I think the reason why so many people gravitated towards that miniature is that it's chunky. It's a really chunky miniature. And I'm a bit of a fan of chunky Space Marines. So the old is it 5th edition art, Karl Kapinski. Let's find it. Sorry. Let's find it, yeah.
Oh, that guy. Yeah, that's a super famous artwork. Like,
yeah,
bit bigger, more, like, I'm going to say realistically portioned, even though that's definitely not true.
Yeah,
with like the
when
head
you look at the
size.
Space Marine, they kind of like engorged. Yeah, and I don't know if it's the first image of a chunk. Oh, we'll save for the cast.
It's on, Miles. It's on.
Oh,
we're going.
Right. Oh. I'm not sure it's it's the first image of a chunkified Marine, but it's certainly the one that came into my consciousness first. I like that kind, and Bolter Yugend does this very well with his Marines. Like, they're all big, they're all chunky, they're all chunkified. Yes, so I think Pollux imitates that style of chunkiness in his Space Marine range.
Yeah. Right, well, that goes on to your pick, Miles. What is your second pick?
I am very much influenced by what I'm currently painting or what I've just finished off. But my next choice will be Khan the Bloody.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Yeah. Now, I've talked about this in a recent tutorial. Phenomenal miniature. And when you compare them against the plastic version, this one just knocks out of the park. Between the veins, a lot. So when I assemble this miniature, I never put his right shoulder pad on, ever, because the arm is so well detailed. It's amazing. I always leave that off. The posing, the dynamism of it, the Marine, he's kind of like smacking off the side, not even paying really that much attention to him. The forward momentum where he's charging forward. It is such a gorgeous, gorgeous miniature. Suffers in comparison to newer miniatures because it's slightly smaller, but the scaling, the detailing, this is the kind of miniature is why you fall in love with a Heresy range and why you fall in love with a faction. So this would be part of my Heresy time, or my Forge World time capsule, I guess you could say.
Well, I think it's going to have to stay as a Heresy time capsule. That may be
I think so.
what it is, because we've not even had any Primarchs yet. Are we excluding Primarchs? Because I know what Primarch I would put in there.
I think we have to, because otherwise... Yeah, I think we have to.
What, put in a Primarch or exclude them?
Exclude them, because I think otherwise this chart would just be Primarchs you'd buy.
Right. Okay, so the model next that I would put in is Scoria.
Oh, okay.
Because I think it's such a unique model to all of the ranges it has. Especially, it's on trend at the moment, as you say about, like, I'm going to pick one, you've just been painting it. This is on my mind.
You've just been thinking about.
Yeah, I've just been thinking about, like, weird, horribly moving Mechanicum.
Yeah.
And this is so otherworldly for this, like, rebuilt post-human. That I love this model. It's really, really good. fits into Dark
Great
Mechanicum
choice.
so well. Yeah. And also
And
makes me look like a horrible hipster because it's not a marine model.
we need a few non-marines in there. Weirdly, I think this miniature costs a third of the price it does if it didn't come with our resin base. You could kill someone with our resin base. It's so heavy. You smash someone across the head, they ain't getting back up.
Do you think there's that sort of logic applied when they're doing the costings of them? I don't know whether that amount of logic is applied that like it costs this amount of resin to make, we'll price it at this point. I think it's chop off that chicken's head and see where it lands on the pricing board.
Yeah, I feel like, okay, what can we, or cynically, what can we get away with charging for this? Because, okay, the price of resin is going up. Having a very minute window into miniature manufacture, the margins on these miniatures is very, very, very big. Very, very big margins. I think it's okay. We got this miniature. What can we get away with charging? And that's how they set the prices. It's as involved as cutting off a chicken's head and throwing it at a dartboard. Yeah, absolutely.
So, right, that's 2 picks from me, 2 picks from you. Now I'm going to surrender my third pick because when we do the tier lists, I am the tier list tyrant. And as much as you can say whatever you want on the tier list, I put them wherever I want. So I'm going to let you have the third pick on this one.
Right, it's nice. It's nice to feel that sense of powerlessness. Great. My third pick, and I didn't have. So my last 3 picks, I have no idea what I'm going to pick. I have no forward thoughts about this, but I've just been scrolling underneath Khan the Bloody. And I hit upon this image, and yes, this is it. The Legion Praetor set.
Ooh. That is actually a really good one.
Yep. Legion Praetor set.
Do you know what? If you put Legion Praetors in, it's I'm really far down this list now, and I've not yet seen them.
It's because they're out of stock.
Oh my God, Miles!
What? Have you seen your third
choice? Sons of Horus Legion Command. I can't believe neither of us went for that.
So those miniatures, amazing, but they were small even for their time.
Still, man, that banner,
they're still amazing.
That banner and the pose, like with the, I don't know why when someone just puts a helmet under the arm, it's not as good as that helmet is under the arm. So I forgive all sorts of scale. I mean, solve it with a tactical rock. They do need updating. Like I think the Reavers suffer from it as well. Sorry to hijack your section. The Reavers really suffer from it. It was a bit noticeable during the Isfan 3 campaign that we've just filmed. That is part of it's up on the Patreon for Barefoot Miniatures now. Check it out if you want to see Isfan 3 legendary missions. Plug. Yes, I got one in. Right. But yeah, it's noticeable on the Reaver sculpts as well. They need an update. But man, they're so characterful.
Just looking at the miniatures in isolation without the scale, they're characterful. The scale is amazing. The detailing is amazing. And those sculpts echo right the way. Like the design philosophy echoes right the way through the Sons of Horus range from there. Same with these Praetor miniatures. And you're seeing when companies like Tortuga Bay take these initial sculpts and just enlarge them. They're not doing anything revolutionary to them. They're not changing the design. They're just upscaling them slightly. And that's the core miniature is great. It's absolutely fine. It's just a lot of these miniatures suffer in terms of scale creep, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm still struggling to find these.
Keep scrolling down. Keep scrolling down.
Keep scrolling down. I've reached the end, Miles.
Weirdly, these. Type in Calm the Bloody then.
What, and do it off Calm the Bloody?
Yeah, it's on the very last page that I found on the website. Weirdly, I don't see many people using these as their Praetors in their army, but I always seem to see them in armies either as conversions, parts broken up, used as other portions. They have two of the best sculpted heads in the entire Forge World range. Great characterful weapons, really esoteric, really weird looking. And everybody owns at least one set of these characters. Absolutely everyone owns at least one.
Yeah, I've got one as a statue even. I don't have any included in my force currently, but it was my original Praetor and died.
Yeah.
So he's now a statue because I was so upset about their death.
Cool.
I was so upset about their death. It hurts. Miles, I'm still not there. If I search if I search Khan the Bloody, it comes up with Khan the Betrayer and not Khan the Bloody.
Yeah.
Like,
you just have to keep scrolling. Keep on. It's the, I think, fourth from last image.
No, no.
Yeah, just keep on scrolling, buddy.
One of the things I have always said, I quite like this new website. It's a nice UI. It's bad for this, though, isn't it?
Terrible. Absolutely disgusting for it.
Yeah. Right.
When you type in Khan the Bloody and you get Khan the Betrayer up instead.
Yeah.
Yeah. Freaking sucks.
Well, I suppose if Khan the Bloody is out, it's just a thing, isn't it? Now, it's going to take a while to get there. I'm only on image 400.
Keep scrolling. Okay, I'll filibuster. So, listeners, what would you put in your time capsule? What miniatures would you need to scroll all the way to the end to find? And it doesn't have to be just characters. So my next selection is an infantry unit.
We're done. It's 5. We've had 5.
What?
That's
no,
the 5.
I thought it was 5 each.
Oh, it's 5 each?
Yeah.
Oh, that's why I was surrendering my third pick.
Okay. I thought you were just stroking up. No, sorry. I thought we were going for 5 each.
We can do that. We can definitely do that.
Yeah. Let's do that. Because I got more choices, damn it.
Go on, then.
Oh, okay. I'll do triple turn. Right. Sons of Horus, Justarian Terminators.
Sons of Horus, Justarian Terminators.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what? This is a contentious one for me because I'm still going for the Praetors, so I can't pull them up. But I think they're a bit too, like, third, second edition, like that.
What?
They're a bit too like that. And
what?
When you compare them to, say, Red Butchers, which are really animated, and they're at these extents of their poses much more. I don't know, the Red Butchers are also suffering from time a little bit in their sculpts, but yeah, I think Justarian sort of fall into the trap of Terminator sculpts where the arm is entirely covered by the turges. The turges?
Sure. Leather straps.
Yeah, whatever the leather straps are called. So, here we go. Do you know why I was struggling to find the Legion Praetors? Because they've not got a picture. Oh, there we are. So they didn't have a picture on the main thing. They've got a picture inside. So yeah, Legion Praetors finally found. Let's go to the Justarian. So yeah, I think the Justarian Terminators suffer a little bit from that sort of like early release and not elongated poses.
Okay,
I think they need an update.
A counter argument.
Go on.
I am not a big fan of overly articulated Terminator armor. Playing in second edition, the early Terminators, my first thought of a Terminator is this big, hulking, heavy suit of armor. Has very little in the way of articulation.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of like the heroic pose Terminators. I like them almost. You have a very limited range of movement, but every movement you make is very dangerous. Like it's a death toll, death knell for anybody coming near. I've tried to do that with my modern Terminators, the Terminators I'm doing from.
You've tried to depose them.
Yeah, you see a lot of these Terminator kits, like their arms are waving in the air, like they're in like these heroic poses. No, I like the arms up against, almost like chugging along. I like the more second edition stilted version of them, where you can only really go in one pose and that's it. Like you're in a battle tank, and a battle tank isn't going to be leaping through the air. So I quite like the design choices.
We're so off the other side.
Yeah.
Of this from each other, because I just think still in their suit of armor, there's still a Mega Man in their suit of armor, and they need to be able to do different. Maybe I think they're definitely, obviously, in the lore, less mobile than a normal tactical marine in power armor. But and yes, they should have this inexorable weight to them.
Yeah.
But say they still need to be able to move enough to be able to hit people with their power axe or lightning claws. So they're still Space Marines with Initiative 4. So the amount of speed within that Cataphractii plate or Tartarus plate, I always imagine. I don't imagine it like Dawn of War 3 level.
No, sure.
Like Guy does a front flip while hitting someone with his Thunderhammer. But definitely more articulation than the older kits seem to give.
I think this is just something we'll have to differ on.
Yeah. I mean, you can internalize the lack of posing ability of second edition models all you want, but
I think this is the rift.
I think this is done.
This is the rift that causes. Yeah, that's it. Okay. Well, lovely knowing you, Max.
It was a good time. Good time while it lasted.
Yeah, it was good time before we came up against that.
Yeah, well, I mean, one could say that Red Butchers are still in Cataphractii plate and demonstrating those poses can be done. So it's just lazily posed models for the Sons of Horus.
Are you a big fan of Contemptor Dreadnoughts running forward or like leaping?
Leaping, no. I definitely think they can run because the speed of movement is faster than a Space Marine. Like, I know the novels are definitely more important to visualize how these things move. Yeah. But I definitely take into account like how the game has them operating in part. Sure. So like say like Leviathans, I definitely don't see as being these fast things. But a Contemptor, yes. Because they've got that range of articulation within the actual produced kit as well. So I do like a little bit of like the punch in the face, like Rocky moments with your Contemptors.
Sure. Yeah.
Why are you not a fan of them? Are you like a static
I guess
Contemptor
one from
guy?
angles. I've seen some conversions where they kind of like sprinting forward and you lose the sense of weight of the Dreadnought when you do that. Or you like pose them like a Harlequin or they're jumping off a rock. I'm personally not a big fan of that because I again, a little bit like the Terminator, I like the sense of weight of these things as they stomp along the ground, and I try and imitate that with any kind of posing I do in my own Dreadnoughts.
I see. It's part of the almost otherworldliness or post-humanness, and in fact the terror that a Space Marine would inspire is that, to me, is that they remain so fast whilst also being so heavy. So it's almost included in that like post-human dread aspect that you get from Space Marines. That I can tell. Like, do you know what?
So for things like Paladin Blades, I fully agree. But I like producing the sense of weight with.
But do you want to carry on talking about this? Because I'll just choose the Night Lord's Leviathan to be, even though it shouldn't go in the list. But if we want to keep talking about this, I'll just filibuster by choosing that choice.
I think the conversation's run to an end, and we both disagree on that. Let's move on to the next subject where we could disagree on it.
Right. Okay. So actually, I have gone for choosing the Solar Auxilia Medics.
No, shut up. Really?
Nicely staged, Miles. I can't look on the group chat. My Discord is down. So I moved it out of the way earlier.
Pretend you're looking at the group chat like, oh my God, you've got the link
Oh my
there.
God. Oh my God.
Oh my God, you've got the link there. Yes. So before you made that selection, I did send that link through as my next selections. Okay. Joint selection for the next one. Okay. So what makes this kit so great?
Right. So what makes this kit so great? So I like the useless model of the guy on the gurney being so characterful. How to describe it? I'm really struggling to describe it. In fact, it's just something about the models that I like. If you put into your words, Miles, and then I'll see if I can.
So perhaps it's a bit of a throwback to Forge World's earlier uselessness. You know, it's a cool miniature, but you don't need all this stuff to have like a Medicae in your Soul Rocks. But it's a thing. We have the ability to do something cool. We're going to do something cool. And there's a great little story when this miniature was released that the sculptor presented the miniature to everyone else. Like, I've got this guy in the gurney, like he's got his leg chopped off, and who's the CEO of Forge World?
Tony Cottrell.
Tony Cottrell asked, "Where's his leg?" I didn't sculpt one. Sculpt the leg. I think that little story epitomizes why I love Forge World so much. It's just those tiny little details, the minutiae, the detail.
Where's his leg?
Yeah, where's his leg? I haven't sculpted one. Go and sculpt the leg. I will predict. Yeah, it's a great choice, Max. Well done.
Yeah,
good.
There we go. So it's also got that sort of horror aspect in how they've painted them, like with the aprons that definitely wouldn't be needed on top of a void suit. That I think makes it so characterful, as well as.
I've never thought of that. I've never thought of that. Yeah, you're so right.
Yeah. It's sheerly there for the like characterful, like horror aspect, along with the big rubber gloves, because this isn't a sterile environment. They've got dirt all over the bottom of their things. They're outside. They've got a mobile gurney in a space war, and yeah, I just think overall as a kit, really, really successful. So
yeah, it works as a standalone piece. If you did, like, you could buy this even if you didn't collect Soul Rocks. I mean, I've bought one just purely as a collector's piece. Yeah, great choice.
Right, so that is on to your choice.
My last choice. I've sent this via Facebook to you, Max, and it is.
We'll have to stop for a second. All right, go. Oh, continue if you're going to say it.
I was going to filibuster. Yeah. So this is very much a hipster's choice, in line with your Scoria, because I didn't want to just fill this all Space Marines. And I've got characters I love, characters I've been painting recently. I wanted to give something that only really Forge World does well like this. And it is do we have it up?
No, because I can't get on Facebook while we're recording.
Oh,
so
right,
just
okay.
say it and I'll pull it up.
The Imperial Navy Avenger Strike Fighter.
Ooh.
And I was really surprised that they still have this in stock. This feels like one of those miniatures that has long gone out of production, and it's like a forgotten remnant of early Forge World, but still there. They must still have a few, some stock kicking around. Yes, and it's a great looking kit. And who doesn't love? I mean, being British, we grow up on myths of the Second World War, Spitfires and the Battle of Britain and all that. So this really chimes with the national psyche that I've grown up with. This kind of kit, and that's why 100%. That's why I wanted to include it.
That's such a good pick as well. That's such a good pick. I hadn't thought in terms of the actual vehicle models, because although Forge World obviously for a long time was based on that, I'm going to choose for my final pick then the very first model I bought off Forge World, and let's see if it's still done. I think it is.
Oh, what is the first model I bought from Forge World actually? Oh, I think it was an Angron for a commission. Well, I think the first one I bought for myself were the Legion Praetor set.
Oh, they no longer produce it. I've been caught out by them no longer producing it. Luckily, I've got two. But
I was break our own rules.
Everyone could see me Googling it. I was going to say the Vulture gunship for the Elysians.
Vulture. Oh, great. Yeah. And that's what popped up.
Yeah, so it's this, and I always remember it in the blue scheme that Forge World had it in. Jesus, it's very hard to get a big picture of it. Yeah, and it's just so iconic of that era, like sort of book 3 Talos campaign, book 4 Amphibian Project, where they have these. And yeah, that would have been my pick. Have you got a final pick, Miles, or do I have to find another pick?
So
Do you
my
want
pick
another
would have
pick?
been the. Yes, I'll take another pick. I would. I just scrolled past it. Now I cannot remember it. It is the. Where are you? Where are you? Let's go with.
Sounds like the most painful sort of picking
It's between two
process.
choices. It's
Go on,
between
give us them both, and are they
the
narrow?
Death Corpse of Krieg Death Rider set.
Yes.
Those horses are outrageous, absolutely outrageous. But there's another kit out there that doesn't get anywhere the amount of screen time it should get. So I'm going to put this in, and it's very much on theme with where we're at the moment. It's the Night Lords Raptor Squad, the Jump Pack Squad. What are they called?
The Raptors, Night Raptors.
Raptors, right. Night Lord Raptors. Yeah, right. It's those. Those would be my final choice.
You're not going with the Death Riders?
I'm not going with the Death Riders. No.
I think you are wrong, Miles.
Death Riders are amazing, but the Night Lords Raptors do not get anywhere near the same kind of like screen time or kudos that they should get. Because when you hold these miniatures in hand, the level of detail on the like heads and the like rib cages and like the paraphernalia strewn across them is outrageous. And to make a Space Marine articulated where he looks creepy, where he looks odd, where he looks off, it's a wonder why these kits aren't used in more conversions and why you don't see them used elsewhere. It's one of those kits that just needs more screen time, needs more highlighting, more tension going to it.
I think maybe if anyone hasn't seen those Death Riders before, I'd certainly say they are some of the best kits. So because there might be people unaware, me and Miles operating, and lots of us listening to this, operate in spheres where those Death Riders are very well known.
Yeah.
So and that is why I think you'd be saying like, "Oh, Night Raptors underappreciated." The actual, I think one thing they suffer from, which stops them getting used in more conversions, like that Pollux model that was brought up second, is say like if you look at the 5 Marines all in their group shot, the middle back one with his like the foot pointed directly down, there are some even the front one. Some very janky looking poses in there that just translate badly to things other than Night Raptors. I think is why we don't see them more in conversions. But as an actual kit, as you're saying, like they are one of the better heresy kits.
So if you did want to see a good use of these in different legions as a conversion, and we're not going to put this up, you're going to have to search for this yourself. It's on Instagram, Mike Fellhanded. He's done a Wolfen conversion, and it really suits the unnatural, otherworldly posing of Wolfen. So yeah, go and search that out. Go like and follow and subscribe to him. He's a phenomenal modeler, phenomenal painter. Well worth it if you haven't already.
Yeah. I think that brings us to the end of the list.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Okay. Audience, hobby hammer community. What would you put in your own time capsule? What miniatures are you should you buy before Forge World goes the way of the dodo, before it gets torpedoed? What should you be buying now to safeguard yourself against the future of not having kits like Sevatar or Khan the Bloody? Were there any obvious omissions that we just completely blew past? They're like, have you been screaming at the screen at us with your own choice? Put your vitriol in the comments below.
Yeah, well, even, do you think Forge World is going to go the way of the dodo? Because
hopefully not.
No, well, I do you know what?
Yeah.
I'm not on the it's hardly a naysayer camp, but I don't think they're going to go the way of the dodo, because I think the production process of making a mold for a resin model
Mm.
benefits these smaller games. Maybe not Heresy anymore, because I think Heresy, being one of the core games now, isn't being supported as a smaller game. However, stuff like Blood Bowl, Necromunda, things like that, I think they're going to keep the Specialist Games studio now. I think it's going to keep them around, and we'll see what that leads to.
Hopefully, if it leads to more miniatures like Fulgrim, like one-off centerpiece pieces, yes, fully on board with. I hope they keep the team together, and I hope they keep the ethos of sculpting the leg.
Yes, and with that, we'll catch everyone next time. In a bit. See ya! No, we're just going to name him right now because I've started recording again. The Blight Drones, the Plague Ogrins. Oh my god, what were we thinking?
Okay, let's stop. So we stopped this episode. We were talking, we were continuing our argument over Terminator posing off camera. And then Max came across, the Plague Drone. And then we started talking about Vrax. So I think our 5 that you save is going to turn into everything from the Vrax range that's still available.
Yeah, but right, we're just gonna have to go and leave it at some point, because even though I regret all of my choices up to now, except the solar. Oh my god, there's such a wealth that we didn't name.
Yeah,
and it'll always change whenever we see something new.
Yeah, and it's hard to pare it down to 5. I mean, and we've excluded all the Primarchs in this. So if you were looking to, it's impossible. Unfortunately, there's such a fine range of miniatures. It's impossible to pare it down just to 5.
Yeah,
only get 5 from this entire collection.
Yeah, and I think we'll have to go at that because we could talk about this all day.
And I think we do have to say, scrolling on this website is absolutely horrific to try and pair out. I've typed in resin miniatures just to have a little scroll through. Dark Commune was a new plastic kit. Saviors of Cinderfall plastic kit. Hecaton Land Fortress. Annihilators.
Well, everyone saw me try to get to Khan the Bloody multiple times.
Yeah.
So that will be in the show, Miles. They'll have seen that. And experienced it themselves. So...
Well, what are your selections, Mr. Big Guy? You've been screaming at the screen. You've been disapproving of us. You've been leaving nasty comments in your WhatsApp groups, not communicating. What? You pick 5. You do this.
Yeah. And we now will be gone till next time.
Yeah. See you later.